Welcome to the Something Good podcast, hosted by Renee Mueller, powered by Verly. This is where we interview top business professionals, industry insiders, operational managers, and thought leaders from around the nation, diving into hot current topics to help you experience something good.
All right, awesome. So today we have with us Nicole Anderson, who is marketing director for the Columbus Public School System and also represents the Columbus School Foundation. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, got to get it right. That's a big title.
It is.
So you split your time 50-50, you're saying, between the two roles.
I do. So I spend 50% of my time on any given week, right? Helping with all the communications pieces and things of that nature for the school district, their branding, all those pieces. And then the other 50%, I'm the director for the CPS Foundation. Yeah.
Okay. So we've talked a few times about some of the projects that you guys have helped sort of maneuver and get started. And we'll talk about that a little bit as we go on. But first, I want to mention that you're also in charge of the Alumni Newsletter and some of the alumni marketing that's been put out there. So part of what we want to do on Something Good is have a lot of that alumni come back and visit with us, and especially those who obviously have come back and are here to stay permanently. So we've had a few of them on. I think that's in the midst of getting some of those scheduled, but I love hearing about all that. And you happen to be, no, I'm sorry, your husband is alumni.
Nope, I'm an alumni.
Well, you both are. That's right. I'm sorry.
You
are Columbus.
Jordan's Lakeview.
That's right, Lakeview.
And
okay.
Then, yep, I'm Columbus.
Yeah, I'm like, I knew I was going to get that wrong. So yes, so your husband is also though in the Columbus Public School System now.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Okay. What's his role?
He's the assistant principal at the middle school, and then is the activities director at the middle school as well.
Yeah. So you both have some high stress positions, I think.
You know, it's one of those positions for both of us that we get to make a huge impact on the community, whether it's through one kid, one family, or our staff, at the district. So it's an interesting role that we get to play. Sometimes you're driving and leading, and other times you're supporting those other leaders that are in our community and our organization. So it's a good and fun place to be, I think, for both of us.
Good. I'm glad. And so both being alumni, tell me, is that what brought you back here, or was it family? Was it?
When we moved back, Jordan, when we were in Minnesota, Jordan was at a place where in his school district, you went into a principal's pool and they placed you at the school where you wanted to be. And for him, he really loves the middle school kids, and I think it takes a very special person to love.
That's why I said high stress. When you said middle school assistant principal, it's like, oh boy, that's a challenging time.
It takes a special group of people to really connect with those kids. And so when a position opened up here, both of our families are here still. At the time, my sister was still here. They've since moved, but it was a great opportunity to, one, just at that time, come back. Jordan did his administrator, not student teaching, but kind of like that mentoring with Mr. Woodside at that time at the high school. And so he liked what was going on. He got to see the kind of inner workings, before that next position came up that following April. So I think anytime there's a good chance for you to come back home and keep families close and things of that nature. It's good for your kids. It's good for you. And it's good for your community.
Yep, I agree. So, I've told several people I swore off Columbus I was never coming back when I moved away to college, and here I am. So
me too.
17 years later. So, but yeah, it does make a big difference. So, what were some of the initiatives you guys wanted to see change? What were some of the things you guys were wanting to do right away on that list of, Columbus doesn't have this, and I want to make this change, and there had to be some things.
I think for us initially it was, how do we get re-ingrained into not being a visitor back in the community? We'd come back for weekends. We'd see you guys, and we'd see our friends. And how did we were trying to find ways of how do we move from coming back and being that visitor, visiting friends, to how do we become a part of that community again? So for myself, I started doing the Leadership Columbus class because I thought that was a great way to learn about the community again.
Yep.
And
It's amazing how many things there are out there that,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I did that many years ago, but even growing up here, the things I didn't know.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea
Mhm.
some of the businesses that were
Yep.
here and the initiatives and even what's still there, what was still here from when I grew up. You know, I graduated in '99, so quite a while ago.
Jeez.
But I know. But what has changed so much? You know, we were coming in right as I think, you know, we were here and he started in August. I started at Thomas Physical Therapy at that time working for them.
That's right.
Um, and then it was that first bond vote,
Yep.
you know, for the high school.
Right.
The one had failed before, but
Yep.
we, you know, we were kind of on the tail ends of
Mhm.
that. And, you know, I would be at the PT clinic and people would ask, well, what do you think about this? Because they knew we were
I forgot the first
engaged.
time it actually failed.
Yeah.
That's right. And then they changed it to
They
where it
changed
was
it,
going to
went
be not
back
the
and
junior
started
high. Mhm.
having more town halls and community
That's
meetings and things. And this is what the community
Mhm.
wanted. So, you know, they were asking me my thoughts. And I said, you know, I haven't been here that long. I don't know all the details of what has happened. I go, but here's what I know. I know that someone in the past has done this for us.
Yep.
And has done this for me.
Right.
And I now need to, in turn, be willing to take that step to do the next
To have
best
any
things,
impact, you know.
to
Yeah.
do the next best things
Right.
for our kids and what's coming in the future. And we know what we need now, but we need to make enough room, ideally, for what could be next. What are we missing? What could it be that's to come? Because we don't know
Exactly.
what's going to be 20
Yeah.
years from now.
That's exactly right.
I would never have imagined, you know, we're adding a healthcare pathway at the high school here starting in the fall. They've already started some classes now, but the full partnership with the hospital will take place here in the fall. That was not even on the radar
And what does that
when
mean,
we were
Nicole?
in high school. So by the time kids that get in this pathway go, they'll have a CNA certification
Wow.
by the time they graduate from high school.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's similar to having an AP course where they can take courses and have, you know,
Yeah.
so many college credits before they're.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
these will be, some of these will be dual credit as well. So some of those things can then carry on. But yeah, they'll have a full CNA certification. You know, I never would imagine they'd have 27 different certifications out of that STS program in those 4 or 5 different areas that kids
Right.
are walking away with
Right.
when they leave high school.
Well, and
That
obviously
just
that's an area
wasn't-
that's very needed.
Oh yeah,
So
especially for our community.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, you know, trying to catch up on those things, Leadership Columbus was
Mhm.
fantastic.
Yeah.
For that.
Right.
Um,
So when I decided I was going to come back, sort of against my will at the time, but
Mhm.
you know, I, instead of being those people that are out there really complaining and not doing anything about it, I wanted to definitely take steps in the right direction to just make those changes that I wanted to do, you know, be that change and make that impact, rather than complain about it. And I've done that since day one, which I'm proud to say. And of course, I've had a lot of support and others, you know, behind me along the way. But when they started talking about the second bond vote,
Mhm.
we started looking at the ground here where this building is. And it was like, okay, this is where we need to start moving Columbus. This is where we need to see some of those new projects,
Sure.
you know, all through the community. But, you know, more so, here's some room for expansion. And I cannot believe how quickly it's taken off. You know,
Oh,
I mean,
it's growing, yeah.
yeah. So 5 years ago, you know, even maybe 3 years ago, I think everyone was kind of on the page of, well, it's going to be forever before we see this development, you know, and look, I mean, look at how much it's expanded. So, so tell us about some of the other projects you guys have been part of, because I know you've got, we talked last week, I think, about the surveys that you guys did as far as community needs and what
Mhm.
really needed to be done as far as shortages with daycare and
Sure.
housing and things like that.
Sure. So 2.5 years ago, we teamed back up or reinvigorated a group called Communities for Kids,
Mhm.
and got that back going. And that's a group that brings in stakeholders.
Is it national?
I don't know if it's national, but it's statewide.
Okay.
For sure. But in your community, it brings together different stakeholders. You know, so everyone from the library is a part of it to um, the city is a part of it. United Way is a part of it. Nebraska Community Foundation is a part of it. The school district is kind of leading the way on it because we have some staff that it fits kind of into their job description as it is. So that's kind of our piece to it. But in that, we did a big community survey, not just of Columbus, but also of Platte County as a whole. And at that time, there was about 400 spots for preschool alone. That's not even daycare, preschool. That
Just for
we're still,
preschool.
that could be used and needed in the community.
Wow.
You know, so then
Does
you're
that say
looking at-
something about the growth, do you think, or the demographic changing?
I think for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it was, we were talking to the mayor a couple of weeks ago at a town hall that we did for the community, and he and both Casey Bayless kind of said, you know, it just came out that we're the 4th fastest growing community in the state of Nebraska.
Which is incredible.
You know,
Yeah.
And so the things that we're doing are
Mhm.
correct and
Right.
right, and we're attracting people and we're bringing people back. And
That's been the biggest challenge
mhm,
in, the last 15 years of my career, is trying to get people to come back.
yep,
Why would I? What's the quality of life, like there? What is there for kids to do?
mhm,
And I mean, housing has been a hot topic for, probably the last 20 for
forever,
sure, but
yeah.
forever, yeah. So it's great to see some of these projects.
Mhm,
So the Kramer Education
mhm.
Center.
Yeah, so based on this, we found out, okay, we need more spots.
Hmm.
So Kramer Education is Center is going to be like a 3-phase project that's going on at the former middle school. So in that second bond, or that bond
Yep.
that went through, high school built new high school, middle school moved out of the old building downtown, is now in the former high school, renovated to meet the needs of middle school kids. What do we do with this property right in the center of town?
Yep.
Uh, they looked at different outside sources,
I know they're
maybe
looking at
buying it. They
housing,
looked at
sort of.
housing. They looked
Hmm.
at all sorts of things. Um, but then it became very apparent, not only from these surveys from Community for Kids, but even from our staff at Columbus Public Schools, of we don't have enough daycare. And as we're growing this quickly as a community, have we surpassed our
It's incredible.
initial projections that we had,
Yep.
right, for this other bond to build these new
Hmm.
schools? So the first phase is going to be a 10-room preschool. Um, so we take the 5 preschool classrooms that we have in our buildings now, put them in that building, uh, and then there'd be room for 10 more classrooms.
Okay.
Maybe a kindergarten plus classroom in there, for kids that maybe just aren't socially developed yet or physically developed yet, to really take that age 5, 6 jump
Hmm.
into full kindergarten, full day kindergarten. So there's just some growth pieces there that it's going to help within our buildings of our district. The second phase is the child care, or the child development center. And our goal with that, and why the foundation has chosen to take it on, is we want to make sure that we have purposeful play that's going to help support preschool. So when they make that step into
Yep.
true,
That makes sense.
true
Hmm.
preschool, we have purposeful play that's supporting that, supporting curriculum that boosts those kids and that they're kindergarten ready.
Okay.
Within that, everyone's like, "Oh, is it just going to be for CPS staff?" No,
I was going to ask that next. So
it's going to be open to the public.
mhm.
Um,
I think a lot of people ask that about the daycare facility at the hospital as
uh-huh,
well,
yep.
but so is there going to be sort of a first come, first serve basis, or is it?
There's going to be some priority. It's
Okay.
first come, first serve, but there is priority, because that project is being helped along financially by uh,
Great way
community
to recruit
partners.
teachers then.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and it's, we have community partners such as Balin's that we're going to get some priority, because of their level of giving
Hmm.
in there, but there's no guaranteed spots.
Okay.
So if it's open and we don't have, some of those
Okay.
priority spots, then it's open to everyone. We are committed to subsidy. Now, not every, if we brought in a third party, we couldn't help um, dictate that, because
Yep.
when you
That
lease a
makes sense.
space to a
Hmm.
business, you
Yep.
don't really have a whole lot of say in that. And we think it's important to make sure we have more spots that accept subsidy in our
Oh,
community.
good to
It's
know.
hard for in-home daycares to do that, because
Right.
it's just not
Well, the numbers,
financially.
yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't work for the small numbers that they
Right.
have to have.
Yep. I totally get that.
So that's part of us trying to help that community.
Hmm.
When we had our town halls about Kramer, um, we invited all the in-homes and centers, and they all came, and they said the one thing that we really need that would help them would be infant. And so when you look at most other school child development centers, such as Westside and some of those others across the state, they don't touch infant.
Yeah.
They're doing that 3 to
Well, it's a lot
4,
more
which is,
work, and probably,
yeah,
I
your
think the
numbers
ratios.
aren't as
I was
good.
going to
Your
say, yeah.
financials,
Hmm.
your ratios are like 4 to
Yeah.
1, and it's heavy lifting,
Right.
on the financial side of it. But it's something that's needed in our community.
Yeah.
It's we're not here. We're here to be a choice. We're not here to take away from the other great daycares
Right.
and home cares
Hmm.
and other choices that they have in the community.
Right.
We know there's not enough spots, but how
Mhm.
can we make sure we play well in the sandbox with the rest of the community?
Yep.
Um, a
So
few-
when does this first phase open? Sorry, Nicole.
We've had some delays because of not being able to get steel, but now you're seeing walls go up downtown, which I think they're pouring some flooring again
Really?
this week. So we're hoping that the Child Development Center, which is actually phase 2, because we're not going to move kids in the middle of the school year, preschool kids, it's just not great for their development. we're hoping we'll be able to open like next spring of 2023.
Wow. Well, that's right around the corner. So
I mean, we were hoping fall of 2022, but
every project is behind, it seems like.
Yeah,
so,
you know, so we're rolling with it. Leonard Popnowski, our facilities director, has done a great job of keeping other pieces of the project rolling while we were waiting for those pieces. So hopefully, with all that back work that they've been doing, that we'll be able to speed up a little bit. But
okay, so where does one find more info on that then, if they're interested in the childcare piece of it, or
they can contact me.
Okay,
because right now, you know, we have an advisory committee within the foundation that's completely separate, just working on this project, that are still putting all those pieces together. We have a partnership that we're working on with CCC, so we can do some dual credit classes at our high school to keep building our workforce in Columbus for early childhood as well. So we're kind of working on a split position there for maybe an assistant coordinator and also someone who can have that master's degree to teach those classes.
Okay.
As well, so we can work on that workforce place. And
do you have any alumni that want that position?
Well, I don't know yet because we haven't put it out there yet, but I hope so.
Yeah,
I know there's been some kids that are graduating in a couple of years that are like, oh,
sure,
we might be interested.
Oh yeah, you know, I think you talked to one gal about that last week when we were out. So yeah.
So you know, I kind of keep plugging it in there. You know, I think it's a great place too, where we have people who want to come back. I mean, we don't have a teaching position at that time, but they want to be a part of Columbus Public Schools in some way. There's another opportunity, you know, for bringing people back there as well. So
good. And I think if I remember right, then we also had some support on this project from Columbus Area Future Fund, which you and I are both part of. So
they were our lead gift to get us going, get us started, and it's a fantastic piece for the community. It was the right starting partner, I think, because of the Future Fund's focus on the needs of now, but what are the needs for the future?
Agreed.
And here we go.
Yeah,
you know,
that's exactly right.
This is how we make changes in communities.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think that's a perfect use for that building and that site right there, and you know, like you said, right in the middle of town. I think that's amazing. So it's something everybody should definitely be appreciative of for you guys.
And one of the pieces that we're looking at in there as well is, you know, we're keeping the old kitchen that's in there.
Really?
Yeah, because we're going to need that for the child care side.
Okay,
anyway,
that makes sense.
You know, how does that look for preschool maybe, and how does that change our programming in the future? We don't know yet. We're still looking at that, but it's another central site where we could do summer lunch program or things like that. You know, you know, we're looking at all those potential opportunities into that, not right within the child care, but along with that branch that's going to come out.
Right.
You know, there's some space where could we bring in a dentist to do you know, exams for kids when they're doing kindergarten registration? Could we do eye checkups, all that in one spot on certain
one-stop shop? Yeah.
You know, where we know if we get people that walk out the door, they may not take that next
That's
step.
right, exactly.
So
that's very useful to make sure that those kids are getting everything that they need, all the services combined, rather than having them run around. Maybe there's a lot of people that don't even know as a parent what they're supposed to do next.
Where do you go and can I get it today?
Right.
Where, you know, we got it for them today.
And what's the price? And you know, that's always a factor. So
and we know with our home daycare providers, they've really asked if we need a training space. So, you know, we're going to be willing. Our third phase is the training professional development area, which obviously the school district needs, but we're willing to share that, you know, with those people because they can't find places after 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
That makes sense.
Have those kind of meetings that they need to have. But they also talked about how can we share curriculum, sensory toys, things of that nature. So we're planning a whole room in there where they can come in and do like a checkout type basis, you know? So because replenishing of toys and all those things are so expensive, whereas if we can have a shared community space,
that's incredible.
We can
that's
help
a great
everybody,
idea.
not just us.
Right.
But we can help the
community as a whole. Yeah. So any other projects that you want to touch on that you guys have been part of then?
I think the next big one is the healthcare pathway, and where can we expand next for our kids. Mr. Hebner at the high school did a survey a couple of years ago, right before the pandemic hit, that was asking kids, okay, what's next? What else are they really interested in? 36% of our students were saying something in healthcare. We're not saying nursing 36%. Or doctor, but 36% want to be in healthcare in some way.
That's
right?
incredible. I
It
would
could be
not have thought
accounting,
that,
it could be any of those pieces, but they want to work in healthcare somewhere. So okay, then we start
Let's
having
take a look.
conversations
Yeah.
with CCC and the hospital, and that partnership is all coming together. And we talked about the Future Fund. One of the great ones we had during that time was NCF had some specific funding that came out of how can we help bridge that learning gap, in between. And, that group that we're a part of was great in bringing not only ourselves, together, but, we had CPS, we had United Way, we had Frontier, I think, was a part of that conversation. SCOTUS, Lakeview, we were all talking about what are our needs, what do we need.
Right. And it's awesome to see all the schools working together. So
is there something we can do for Wi-Fi? Is there something we can do for, we got to feed these kids that wouldn't be able to feed otherwise, so part of our granting was some additional pieces for iPads that we needed, to make those things happen. Some Wi-Fi pieces that we did in our parking lots that's open to the general public now.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I do remember all that too. So that way they can just pull up and hook up. And
they can hook up, and you had kids out in the parking lot. And we made sure that it wasn't just for our kids. We wanted it open to the public because if I can't afford internet at my house right now, how can I go and apply for a job anymore? How can I go do those things? So that was a way for us to open it beyond our school walls.
Speaking of technology, exactly. Let's talk about these Oculus Goggles. So I'm excited for you to share something that I didn't know you could actually do with these and have kids improve their concentration. So this is, I'm bringing it up because we use this in our business quite a bit for 60 renders for new construction, or for investors that are wanting to look at property from other states. And this was the #1 gift this year. It was also the #1 downloaded app this year. So I think that's pretty incredible. So you had talked about some of the stuff that you guys are using it for with the school system.
So last spring, Stacy Smith, one of our physical education teachers and who's our cross-country coach now, came to us with an idea. And I love it anytime that someone comes with an innovative idea. I am on board, and they don't always work out, but we will do everything in our power to really flesh it out and see if is this something that we can help bring to fruition. And so she's been working with this company called NeuroTrainer. There's some schools in Omaha that have been using it on their athletic fields. But NeuroTrainer at this point is really looking at how does it apply and open up our focus on the court or on the field or when we're batting or
those neural pathways.
Those neural pathways, training it to focus in so that way you can ignore the chaos that's going on around you. And so there's some theories out there that this could also help with testing and kids that just have a hard time focusing in the classroom and things like that. So we're pilot testing it.
So what are they doing with this? Because I know that some of the even local basketball teams are using it for, kids is improving their skills. So for instance, one of the test modules or demo modules would be you have, say, 10 balls floating around in front of you. They highlight 2 of them to another color. Keep your eye on them for however long it is, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. They all go black. They put 3 back up in another color and say, okay, which one of these is one of the balls that you were supposed to be following? That's crazy.
And then it builds and builds and builds and goes faster or slower. And in this program, it all changes based on your own outputs on all these things, and it adjusts automatically.
So your searches online,
So my 6th graders where he's at in it is going to be different than maybe another 6th grader or.
Well, Maverick starts basketball, so we'll have to see what he thinks of it. So Well, that's incredible. I think the technology is amazing and it's so easy. And I think that VR is something that's here to stay. I mean, I think it's underutilized in many aspects. And so I think that's pretty exciting. I just had to ask about it.
Yeah, no, and I think the athletic part is the hook. I think people buy into that initially, but I think they're thinking of outside the box is phenomenal on this. And I mean, it's going to take time to see how that goes. But
well, I mean, think about
to see where it goes.
Test pilots. I mean, it's no different than a simulator. You're teaching people new skills. Flying a plane. I mean, it's not just a game, but I mean, these are things that are so easy for 80-year-old grandmas to use. So, I mean, I think that's just incredible. So,
it's super exciting.
Yeah. Well, I could go on forever and ever. I'm sure we probably passed time, and I always love visiting with you, Nicole. So,
absolutely.
I know I'll see you again sometime soon. We have a plan to get together, and probably on some committee, but. Is there anything else you want to share with anyone, or any contact information, anything at all that you think would be useful?
I think the big thing, is our website for the foundation,
Okay.
which is also our alumni website, cpsanchor.com.
Okay.
I think that's a great place to start. We're also CHS Anchor alumni.
Okay.
On Facebook, we tend to be pretty heavy there. That seems to fit our demographic.
I wonder who does that.
Yeah, I do that too.
Marketing.
But we've really taken off the alumni website and trying to highlight some of our alumni, not only here in Columbus but across the nation, which has been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so.
I'm excited to have more guests on that are alumni specifically. So good.
Yeah, that's exciting.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you, Nicole Anderson.
Thank you.